Hi, my name is Yiwei. I'm a senior undergraduate student at Minzu University of China. It's a great honor to be invited to give an oral presentation of my paper. And now let's get straight to my presentation. The paper I'll be presenting today is titled The Harm and Regulation of High Leverage Multiple Behaviors in LBOs. My paper includes three parts: research background, research method, and the paper main content. In recent years, China's capital market gradually tends to mature. LBO, short for leverage buyout, is favored by many enterprises. However, in the context of imperfect laws and regulations, some blindly raise leverage multiple, driven by extremely high interest and broad bad influences. To create a favorable business environment, measurements must be taken to regulate the over high leverage multiple behaviors in LBOs. In order to find effective ways, case study is a good way to combine theory with practice, and comparative study can provide good thoughts. And now let's get to the third part, paper main content. When it comes to leverage buyout, the United States RJR Nabisco Incorporated company takeover would often be mentioned first. Known as the big acquisitions of the century, the case deals with the price of $25 billion. A KKR company successfully acquired RJR Nabisco company with only $15 million, and the other 99.94% of the funds came from junk bonds. But how do they do that? And why do they do that? This gets to the next part. To better understand the process, let's see an example. Suppose a buyer planned to buy an enterprise which prices $15 with its annual profit of $8. Then the buyer would offer a small portion of the price, let's say $3, and raises the rest $12 through debt. Then they use this $15 to buy the target company. If the acquirer succeeds in raising the annual profits of the enterprise to, let's say, $2 after the acquisition, then they can pay off the debt after 4 or 5 years, and then the enterprise can be sold or listed again. But now the enterprise with an annual income of $2 is worth $38, which means that the buyer's initial investment of $3 has increased 10 times in 5 years. In this way, they gain extremely high profits with relatively low capital contribution. But the prerequisite of achieving such returns is that they can raise the annual profit. Otherwise, they are going to face extremely high risk of bankruptcy or other consequences. For these characteristics, if the leverage multiple are high, LBO could bring huge harm. Raising the leverage multiple could damage employees' rights, since LBOs usually reduce staffs and decrease staff salaries. During the whole process, employees are on the passive side, and if employees were not fully aware of the matter, it's unfair for them. What's more, when LBO turns into MBO, which usually happens when the investor group is composed mainly of the company's existing management, the shareholders' right can be damaged too. As incumbent management, they are accessible to inside information and know how to make the greatest profit for themselves. But as investors, they care more about the profit the company can bring to them instead of what shareholders may get. Higher the leverage multiple is, more profits they could gain from it, and it's more possible for them to ignore the shareholders' rights. Moreover, if the enterprise fails to achieve expected profits, LBO could bring harm to company itself. In the case of the RJR company takeover, after the highly leveraged acquisition, the RJR company reported a net loss of $1.15 billion. The money return is very little. Sales of the company were down 18% from the previous year, and operating profit fell 59%. In a high leverage multiple case, companies usually send away a great number of employees to cut its cost. In this way, unemployment rises in the short term, and outflow of labor increases the market employment pressure. Additionally, unduly raising leverage multiple is a form of blind pursuit for a considerable profit and could result in market bubbles, affect the normal operation of the capital market, and damage the securities market. In response to above questions, 4 paths of controlling high leverage multiple in LBOs have been raised. Firstly, clarifying the principle of good faith in MBOs can avoid self-dealing behaviors fundamentally. It's necessary to embody the principle of good faith in laws and regulations in the form of clear and specific provisions. Besides subjective principle, the objective regulations can strictly control such behaviors by improving the regulatory system of the capital market. Through comparative study, America is found to be a good learning object. Add provisions that allow multiple levels of supervision of relevant entities under certain circumstances to better control high leverage behavior. Above 2 solutions are preventive path, and the other 2 paths respectively are normative and punitive. The main reason why individuals' rights get damaged is that there is an asymmetrical information situation between LBO runners, shareholders, and employees. Therefore, it's necessary to strengthen the information disclosure obligations of capital acquisition, including the purchase of the funding source, amount, and other information. In this way, the right to know of all parties can be fully guaranteed, so they can make rational decisions. As we all know, punishment is a good tool to raise the crime cost and force perpetrators to think before taking any actions. It's the same when it comes to LBO. The purpose of high leverage behaviors is to gain a huge amount of money. So, increasing fines in the maximum number of penalties may be one of the most direct and efficient methods to avoid such behavior. Such punishment corresponds directly to the purpose of the behavior, so that the profits of such speculative behavior is significantly cut, and the motivation can be curbed accordingly. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.